We all know there are many criminal organizations across the world, but there's one that stands out in particular: the Kinahan Organized Crime Group, an organization that is responsible for selling well over $1 billion worth of drugs. By now, they are the top priority of law enforcement throughout the world.
And so today, the United States Department of State is pleased to announce a reward of up to $5 million for information leading to the financial disruption of the KTCO or the arrest and convictions of its leaders.
But how did it come this far? And why do these men have a combined price of $15 million on their head? Well, to better understand the story of the Kinahan Organized Crime Group, we have to go all the way back to the 1980s. It all started in Dublin with Christopher Vincent Kinahan, better known as Christy, the Dapper Don Kinahan. In the year 1986, he was arrested after the seizure of a batch of heroin valued at £117,000 that could be linked to him. At the time, this was a very large bust. We pretended to be electricians at a surveillance of an apartment building. There we found the largest amount of heroin seized that year. Former head of Ireland's drug enforcement Michael O'Sullivan said, reminiscing the operation, "It was a successful surveillance operation, as it led to Christy being sentenced to serve 6 years in jail." If you thought he would be counting down his days and not be productive while inside, you're absolutely wrong. Christy studied for 2 degrees whilst in prison. He also became fluent in Dutch as well as Spanish. By now, it is believed that Christy speaks 5 languages, making it much easier for him to make international connections in the underworld. And so he did. In the 1990s, Christy moved to Rotterdam, the Netherlands. It was a strategic move, as the port of Rotterdam was already the nerve center of drug smuggling. Here is where he met Colombian, Dutch, and Moroccan criminals. Fueled by his big ambitions, he started building a criminal empire. It may be interesting to note that Christy Kinahan was not born into a life of crime. It's a lifestyle he deliberately chose himself. He was raised in a middle-class family and sent to one of Ireland's best schools. Not even in their wildest dreams someone could have expected that he would become the head of one of the biggest crime families in the world. But after his first serious encounter with law enforcement in 1986, he just never got on the right path again. Where he had a choice, his sons Daniel and Christy Jr. did not. Their father almost naturally incorporated them into his business that turned from a street gang to an organized crime group. The brothers had to work their way up in the organization, and nowadays, Daniel is suspected to run the day-to-day operations, whereas Christy Jr. is suspected to run the financial side. Initially, Daniel Kinahan had branded himself in 2012 as a sports promoter with his company MTK Global. Interesting detail is that he first named the company MGM, which stood for Macklin's Gym Marbella. However, the MGM Grand Resort and Casino in Las Vegas did not appreciate the similarity in names and forced MGM to rebrand in 2017. In the years that followed, he would turn MTK Global into a boxing and mixed martial arts management and event promotion company. At one point, he even signed heavyweight world champion Tyson Fury to his roster. This caused some people to ask questions, because despite Daniel's attempt to sportswash his image, his company MTK Global would constantly be tied to his underworld activities. It led to him stepping down as the head of the company, though he remained an active figure in the boxing world. It was not long after his arrival in the Netherlands that Christy and his sons got themselves on the radar of Dutch police. In an attempt to evade further problems, they decided to move to Marbella, Spain. All seemed well for some time, but in Spain is where the group would get in serious trouble. It's not rare to have a feud brewing amongst different gangs in the underworld, but the Kinahans got involved in a feud that would become so heated that it cost many lives on both sides, one in particular. It was against the rival Hutch gang and started back in 2015, September 24th at approximately 11:30 a.m. to be exact. Gary Hutch is struck on the Costa del Sol by the Kinahan mob. Gary Hutch is the nephew of Gerard "Jerry" Hutch, also known as the Monk. For clarity, I will mention Gerard Hutch as the Monk from now on. The Monk was a notorious criminal and leader of the Hutch gang. Gary Hutch had worked for the Kinahan family and was described as Daniel Kinahan's right-hand man. It is said that they got into an argument about money, and Gary initially wanted to kill Daniel. When Daniel got word of that, he instead ordered Gary to be killed. There have also been stories going around that Daniel suspected Gary to be an informant for the Spanish police, but this was posthumously confirmed to be false. Whatever the reason may have been, a real war would ensue. Fast forward to February the 5th, 2016, is when it became really serious, and the Hutch gang struck back. There was a weigh-in for a WBO boxing match in the Regency Hotel in Whitehall, Dublin. 5 men entered the room and started firing. Kinahan associate David Byrne was fatally struck, and Sean McGovern was hit in the leg. The intended target was Daniel Kinahan, but he had left early. In the following months, the feud went back and forth. Many people had been killed on both sides in Ireland as well as Spain. All this violence eventually caused a lot of Kinahan associates to be dead or arrested. This violence caused the Kinahans to pack their bags and move again, this time from Spain to Dubai, where they proceeded to build their empire. They would become part of the so-called Super Cartel, together with Ridouan Taghi, Edin G, Raffaele Imperiale, and Richard R. The Kinahans controlled 1/3 of the cocaine trade in Europe. This alliance was very strong. Usually the top drug lords battle each other for the top spot, yet these guys decided they would be stronger together. As they operated from Dubai, each one of them had their specific skill set and abilities. By bundling those, they became bigger than anyone could ever expect. It looked like the sky was the limit, and they lived flashy lives in Dubai, spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on cars, jewelry, and more, all while the kilos of coke were distributed across Europe. It was eventually Daniel Kinahan's wedding in the Burj Al Arab that was infiltrated by the DEA that exposed this so-called super cartel. The DEA noticed the presence of these prominent figures in the underworld and decided to conduct further investigation. In the years that followed, all members of the super cartel were arrested, except the Kinahans. As of April 2022, Daniel, Christy Sr. and Christy Jr. are on the most wanted list. The reward is up to $5 million per person for information leading to arrests of the gang leaders or the financial disruption of the group. A reward of $5 million per person is a lot of money. Garda, the National Police Service of Ireland, said that after the reward was put on the heads of the leaders, they received a huge amount of intelligence from underworld sources in Ireland and beyond. They went on to say that plans are progressing, the net widens, and the focus is getting stronger on bringing down the Kinahans. Furthermore, at least 600 persons with alleged links to the Kinahans have been put on a US travel ban in an attempt to keep the US free from any Kinahan-related crime. A ban without a lot of implications, because it would make zero sense for any Kinahan affiliate to step foot inside the US. But where are they hiding then? In June 2024, news outlets have reported that the Kinahans may have fled Dubai and moved their operations to Iran, where they are paying millions for private security protection. Investigators have found that in the past 18 months, the crime cartel has been offloading its property empire in the UAE after the $15 million bounty that was placed on their heads. A reputable Irish businessman in Dubai said, "No one has seen any of them nor their associates for months here. We believe they have decided to flee to Iran, but no one seems to know exactly where. They have contacts all over the world and will use every possible avenue to avoid prosecution and spending life behind bars." The DEA has discovered that the Kinahans had previously laundered money on the Iranian holiday island of Kish, Iran's version of the Costa, so it could be true. However, till this day, their whereabouts remain unknown, and their business continues to thrive. Will they be caught anytime soon? Let us know in the comments. If you have enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe if you have not already. See you in the next one.